Hey guys, Savage, and welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a fun mission. We're doing a Medivac. And yes, this is Cockspur C510 Citation Mustang, the C510. And it's actually a lot cooler than it seems, because this version is all new. It's enhanced, it's improved. This is a much more recent version of the beta. And still in beta, of course, coming out relatively soon. And most likely after Sim Update 10, by the way. But we now also have... Oh, what's this? And the cargo actually opens now, as you'll see from the front, but we now have an ambulance waiting for us with this version because, as we fly inside... Oh, hello. Stupid camera, behave yourself. Patient, nurse. Medivac. Yep, this is a whole Medivac version they're doing. Now, it's in the livery of... Other side. The New Zealand Air Ambulance Service. Yeah. Obviously, they'd be used by different companies, but this is a Medivac version based on the one they have. So, a rather cool idea. Well, they don't have this exact model, I don't believe, but yeah, small biz jets do get used for this kind of thing all the time. So, without further ado, as it's weird that this is a British ambulance next to New Zealand, but close enough. We'll go with that. Let's get ourselves back inside here and close the cargo. We'll leave the medic on, we'll turn the patient off for now, because we're going to get ourselves started up here. So... batteries and systems on. Let's get our fuel boost pumps on. Let's make sure our fuel is good. It should be. I think this is a relatively simple aircraft when it comes to that sort of thing. It just lights up here, as we know. Click and draggable? Yes, it is. And the door is now actually draggable or clickable from the back of it there. See? We can actually click the handle, which you can obviously see from that side. So let's get this thing started as we make sure that screen is up and operational. Okay, so engines, leave those left ignition on. Make sure these are set to in. And then we'll give it, once it gets to the right end too, take it past cutoff. And we have fuel introduced there. That should come roaring to life for us. But it doesn't want to, and I never know why this is happening. I'm always a pain when it comes to jets. That was meant to click it out of its dead zone. I can never make jets work. It's always my problem. I never know what I'm doing. That's the problem. I managed to start it last time we did this, but for some reason this time it just doesn't want to. So, magical screw jets. Press the magic button, Control E. Because I'm feeling cheap today. The flight is the mission. Me and my learning 47,000 aircraft is never going to work properly. So, we'll pretend I did it exactly the right way. Which means I'll leave the boost pumps to normal here. As both jets go on. Engines are good. So, let's get my head turned on here. Okay. Alice Springs Tower, Medic 1, ready for departure, runway, I think it's 12. Copy taxi via Bravo, Alpha, runway 12, Medic 1. Okay, so let's get ourselves out of here, shall we? Let's tightly turn away from the building here. A little bit too much jet. So our flaps all go in. We're heading down to Deep Well today, which is 33 nautical miles away. So it's an 8-minute journey. We'll be going there and back. And in our case, obviously, this being the Outback, roads conditions aren't fantastic. And they often need a little bit of help when they get people out of places. So things like the Royal Flying Doctor Service are huge. Medivac and air ambulances are huge in such a big country because accessing patients is hard. Alice Springs Tower, Medic 1, standing by, runway 12 for back taxi and departure. Winds 270 at 2, clear for departure, back taxi and departure, runway 12. Medic 1. Okay, so let's get ourselves out here onto the active and we'll get ourselves lined up and go. Again, short flight today, quite hot in fact. I think we're looking at about 49 degrees at the moment, Celsius. Very hot day in Australia. Right in the middle of the outback here, so it is baking conditions. But that's one thing we'll have to worry about when we get to Deep Well, because it's a short runway, it's dirt, and it is sloped, so we need to be very careful about that. But here at Alice Springs we've got a ton of runway, so it's an airport that's used to handling aircraft in hotter conditions. So more runway, more time to actually descend at different speeds. Faster than you normally would, obviously, because hot air can be quite thin. So, we'll get ourselves down here. We should be good in a moment. We don't need all of this, but every little helps when you're not quite sure how long it's going to take. Let's get ourselves turned around here. Now, this Mustang has really grown on me as a jet. I've never been a huge jet fan, but it's a very good one. Full power. Let's get ourselves out of here. Airspeed's alive, we are good. V1 and rotate, we're out of here. Flaps coming up. Gears coming up. Let's trim ourselves to climb. Climb power. There we go. Okay, so not a long journey like we said. Alice Springs Tower, Medic 1, turning on course. Thank you. So yeah, obviously out here, roads are sometimes rough. Journeys can be arduous. And travel time might be too far. So what is essentially a 10-minute flight? Isn't that unrealistic? Our patient today is going to be a oil worker from the well fields down at Deep Well, and they have fallen from a derrick. So this patient has had a collapsed lung, which was treated on site, and multiple broken bones. So we'll be getting them on a backboard and loading them straight into the aircraft from the airport, where they've been transported by site workers and the site first aiders and medics. Now, collapsed lung often usually believed to be something that's common from penetration trauma. Not always the case. A significant fall can collapse a lung, so that is often something you'll get from a fall, severe fall onto the back. You can get or front even, but you can actually get a collapsed lung. And one thing I will add is the sounds are much nicer with this aircraft. Listen to this. Creaking and rattling. The wind sound over the cockpit is really, really cool. I really like it. And we are wildly off course there, so let's get ourselves back on our correct heading here. Keep our altitude correct. We'll need to keep our speed down as well. We're about 210 right now, which is all we'll need. We want to stay low relatively for this because we're coming back down to land very soon. So we don't need to get excessive. But it's not a very long trip at all for us, so we will be no time at all. We'll get on the ground, pick our patient up, and get out of here. I think I need to mess with my environmental sounds versus my engine sounds in the sim, because the wind is quite loud compared to the engines, but then again, there's always that variety of getting matching levels. Some aircraft is great, some aircraft is not. It's more of a balance thing. So no, all my doors are closed. That's all good there. Okay. So we shouldn't be too far away. I'm expecting our airport to be basically over there. So we should be good. Take us no time at all. We're at 140 right now, so I'm going to power back a little bit here just to balance our airspeed for what we're doing. But no. Obviously, in a case like this, you're likely to have radial end fractures, there's going to be heel fractures, possibly skull fracture and brain bleeding, possibly. Likely intracranial in that regard. Now, you could also have fractured ribs. There's always spinal concerns when dealing with a patient that's had a fall. That's always one of those things to actually factor in to any kind of situation. Now, obviously, they're not going to have a full-on paramedic on site. Maybe they do, but in fact, a lot of these places are going to have someone a bit more qualified due to the time for someone to get there to rescue you. So there could well be either AEMT, so Advanced Emergency Medical Technician level, or paramedic level on a remote site for that kind of case. Now, when it comes to an aircraft like this, it'd either be an RN or for flight nurse and or a paramedic. So they're going to be a highly qualified individual in an aircraft like this who can treat the patient en route. 138, still climbing. This thing is a rocket ship. I love it. Very fast. Look at this terrain out here. It's so orange, so vivid. So very Australian Outback, isn't it just? Yeah, my head. I can't make that work, not from this angle. Visors. Wonderful things. Okay, so that should be the ridge ahead of us we're looking for here. So we're going to pull our power back in expectation of needing to circle around here and land. Runways are parallel to the ridgeline here, so we'll be joining essentially on the downwind for this one. And a lot of these more remote sites, it's just going to be a site radio next to the strip, or someone that has access to an air-ground radio. So we'll be making contact with them once we get a little bit closer here, and we'll be setting up for our approach and landing. Okay. Can I see it yet? That's the question. Ooh, loud. It's a gorgeous little jet, isn't it? It kind of looks a little stubby, but it looks kind of pretty in my eyes. It's small, but it's gorgeous. Love that thing. Okay, where are we at? Yeah, that will be us by the ridgeline up ahead, so we'll be swinging out to our left here. Coming around to about 145 most likely, so we can just angle in a little bit better. Bring it around and put it down. We've got about 2,000-ish feet of dirt here with a slight grade, so it shouldn't be a impossible mission, but it'll definitely be something to keep our eyes on. Not a lot of options otherwise, but these are the kind of places you're going to have to land doing this kind of flying. It will be a strip of some kind in many cases, but at least it's not just in the bush somewhere. Now, out in the outback, you'll often find a Royal Flying Doctor Service, things like their King Airs, Caravans. They'll land, or even the PC-12s get used for this kind of work. They'll land on highways. There are sections of highways designated as landing zones for emergency purposes, and will get used for that. So there's the fields coming up ahead of us. I can see them now. So we're going to expect to make a right-hand turn in a moment once we get over this area. So I'm going to pull our speed back here in preparation for the approach. Okay. Where are we, is the question. Where are we? One minute out. We're seeing here. Let's get our speed down. A little bit fast and loose for this mission, but it's just such a short one. I don't see much point in putting autopilot on. And we might do that on the way back, we'll have to see. But for now, we're just going to run the game as it needs to be. Where are we? Okay, there we are. Off to our right there. Think that's us over there. Right there. Have to get my head around here, so it's got our speed down. Depot radio, Medic 1 inbound for landing for one patient. Copy depot radio, winds calm. Clear to land, Medic 1. Okay, bring... I think that's us over there. I'm not 100% sure, actually. That looked like my airport, but I can't tell. Things are kind of iffy down here. It all looks the same. That's it there. I got it there. Got a visual. Oh, we are coming in fast and hot here. I'm going to have to circle. I can't land like that. I can't turn final and put it in. Too hot. Way too hot. Way too hot. Dramatically underestimating the speed of this thing. It's like driving a Ferrari. It just goes and goes and goes. Okay, bring it around in a circle. Let's kill a little of this airspeed. Bring the power up a little bit. We need a bit more. Okay, we're good here. A little bit too much rudder. We're starting to slip. Or skid, at least, in this case. There we are. Okay, so it's narrow, it's dirt, and it's short. So let's make sure this one counts. Buildings are just a collection of huts at the side of the runway, so we have to be a little bit prepared for that. Trim the nose out properly here. And I think we're good there. I'm still getting to grips with jets and turboprops with approach speeds. I'm so used to being able to feather my power as I need to. I'm just not quite as prepared for it as I'd like to be. But I am learning. You just got to be a little bit predictive with how things are going and know when to feed it a little bit more. Like then. Just enough to keep us clear of the scrub. And we should be good for a landing. And flare power to idle. Flaps coming up. Default radio, medic 1, touchdown, taxiing for parking. Have the patient ready? And we spin it around. Right round, baby, right round, like a record. Pull over to our buildings on the right here. Ordinarily I'd shut an engine down, but I'll never get it started again. So they're going to have to load quick here and get us going. Okay. Complete stop. Parking brakes are on. Turn my head off for a second here because we're going to show you that in the back there. Oh, there we go. So our door is literally the latch here, so the patient will be loaded in. We can close up the door, including the animations for even the actual door security chain. Then we can literally just go whoop, patient on. Everybody is good here. Turn my head back on, most importantly. Okay, parking brakes are off. Depot radio, medic 1, taxi for departure. Let's get ourselves out of here. We're going to take off against the way we came this time because it's slightly sloped, so we want to take off with downhill. Winds are calm from what I know from our METAR data beforehand, so it's not a big worry whatsoever. It's just short, so it could be interesting in terms of how well this goes. So we'll give ourselves the most opportunity we have around here. And then it's a short flight back to Alice Springs from where we were. With winds being only 2 knots, we're going to get a direct in from runway 30, the opposite again to where we came in. Medivac flight, especially with patient on board, will likely get priority landing in all these cases because of urgency. So we'll have an ambulance standing by for us at our parking location. We'll come in and land. We'll get off the runway. We'll head straight for parking. Other aircraft and vehicles will get out of our way. We are essentially an ambulance with wings. Okay, flaps are set as necessary. Medic 1, depot radio. Hope to never see you again. Airspeed's alive. Rotate. Gear up, nose down. Flaps up, clean the airframe. Airspeed's building well. And up, up and away. A little bit more gentle this time because we're dealing with a patient on board. Now that backboard will be strapped down in the back of the aircraft and the nurse will be checking him over. Our guy has got a brain bleed. Has been darted. A dart is a needle inserted into the chest cavity. Roughly it's 3 ribs down, center of the collarbone on the side that's not inflating. That releases air pressure trapped inside the chest cavity, at which point you can seal that as necessary once the air is out. And if any more still leaking in, obviously you can release that pressure at any time to re-establish lung inflation. Now in this case, our guy has good breathing sounds right now, vitals are stable, but we suspect spinal injuries and he has got a head injury, so we are getting the hell out of here and back up to Alice Springs as soon as possible to get this guy to a hospital. Because all the roads out here are dirt and rough. It would definitely be a case of get the guy out ASAP. He needs a trauma surgeon quickly. Now Alice Springs hasn't exactly got a university hospital, but it's better than nothing. Obviously from there he could be stabilised before being transferred to a bigger facility where aircraft like this, especially the bigger aircraft like this, are definitely the kinds that will get used for, say, patient transfer once someone is more stabilised. So in the short term, this is how you most likely get them from sites. Now it's most likely going to be things like a King Air or a PC-12 or a Caravan, something a lot more rugged that can do the job into various locations, but this is perfect. This 510 is a wonderful aircraft for the job, so why not use it for just that? Should we just keep ourselves aware of what's going down here? Keep ourselves balanced and smooth. Airspeed is fast, but not too fast, so we're good in that regard. While I'm here, oh, this doesn't work yet. I'm sure it will eventually. Oh, sod using that rotary dial. I'll make it work. We'll fly the line backwards. We're doing it manually anyway, so it will be just fine. How do I go backwards? There we go. We'll just fly it manually. We'll be just fine. We're entering the control zone for Alice Springs any second anyway, so we should be okay. Alice Springs approach. Medic 1 inbound for landing at Alice Springs. Yankee Bravo Alpha Sierra. 1 patient on board, requesting priority approach and landing runway 30. Copy Alice Springs approach. Straight in, fly runway heading, runway 30, cleared for priority approach. Medic 1. Okay, let's get ourselves positioned where we need to be here. So I'm correcting our course in a second for the runway. Keep our speed a little measured here. Fairly generic terrain, but I must say this is a lovely aircraft to fly and the visibility is great. For a jet, you have so much visibility. Look at those clouds. God, that's a gorgeous blanket above us here. But it is such a clean view in here. It always feels very Martian looking over this red terrain. I guess this is what Mars would look like, obviously, just without a lot of the vegetation, but it's a crazy world we live in. Terrain can be so varied. Okay. Adjust our course a little bit. Come to the right, and then we'll return back to our heading. Should not be far out now. moments at least. And we'll be back at Alice Springs in time for tea and medals, and for little Timmy, who fell off the well, to get himself to a hospital where he can actually be stabilised and assessed, get x-rays, work out what's happening, any immediate life-saving can be done, and he can then be transferred to a hospital for proper treatment. I will say it's a very stable aircraft, this one. It really does not ask a lot from you. It will fly where you want it to. I always consider jets to be very sluggish and strange handling, but this one, it flies like a Cessna. It really does. I mean, it is a Cessna, that's obvious, but it flies like a... Okay, not a Cessna. It flies like a PA-28 maybe. Like, it has some of those same tendencies. Obviously, it's a low-wing aircraft, that's fair, but it's like a turbo arrow. It's got plenty of power. It knows how to use it, but it's very reactive and predictable. That's the biggest thing about it. It's a hugely predictable aeroplane. And very stable in the trim. Very stable. Keep our speed measured here. Okay, shouldn't be too far out now from Alice Springs, and then we'll be back in no time. Okay, there we are. Head off course here. That should be just up ahead of us. Get ourselves lined up for 30. My map zoom is being very weird because that is Alice Springs. Why does my map show me so far away? I wonder if this will make it. Let's find out. No, we're way too high and fast again. I have a knack of this. I was looking at the screen way too much now out the window, but these airports tend to jump up at you. Yeah, this is why proper actual flight planning and navigation is a useful idea. Circle again to bring it in this time. Should only be a 270-degree turn, and we can spiral down whilst we do it. Gear transitioning. Three green. Where are we at? Where are we at? We should be turning on course. Just... there it is. Bang on. Perfect turn there. Flaps are set. Flaps coming down. Gear is down and locked. Alice Springs Tower, Medic 1, final, runway 30, ambulance standing by. A bit more power here because the threshold's a lot further away than it looks. But our speed is stable, our approach is a decent angle. A little bit more power, I think. Starting to get the best of these jets. Most of this video is because I wanted you guys to see this Medivac version. I think it's so cool. And it really fits the kind of mission-centric way I like to fly. I like a reason for my flights. I don't like to just fly around for the sake of it. And flying for a reason, for a mission, to me is a lot of fun. Now, when it comes to having aircraft to support that, there are a growing number. Bush planes currently fit that, I guess, assignment the best. But with aircraft like this and other aircraft coming soon that also have clear missions behind their aircraft, it really does invite more flying and more reasons to fly and places to fly them to. This was only a 30-mile flight, but it gave me a mission that's taken me nigh on 30 minutes with you guys, because we've had to go there, land, pick someone up and come back. As I actually somehow nailed a jet approach, I think. This feels good. Really nice gentle landing with a patient on board. Don't want to jerk them around too much. Let it run out here. That's going to be our hangar over there, so we're looking for our taxiway in a moment. Let's bring the speed down here. There's our exit. Let's get ourselves out of here. Okay. Alice Springs Tower Medic 1 is going to be clear of the active runway at this time, taxiing for parking. Granted, we're not technically clear of the active until we cross this line, but semantics when you've just been cleared in ahead of everybody and anything. Okay. Over there on the right, there's the ambulance waiting for us. Obviously, it's not really there, but you can see it, right? Yeah. Okay, bring her in here. What, my engines are shut off? I know. Okay, we are down. We are stopped. Let's get our door open. Let's get everyone rolling. Well, guys, this is a very, very fun aircraft. It really is. It's a tiny little thing, but it's an absolute blast to fly. And it's been really given a lot of loving attention. I really like this. The more and more features that come to it, the better it is. It just feels fun. Even these two don't look ridiculous. I mean, that looks like the mummy down there, but in general, they actually look appropriate for their jobs, so I love this. This is a cool little aircraft with a real fun purpose behind it. And this is just one version. There's so many other versions that are with this aircraft, including, you know, the executive ones and several different variants of that. More and more features coming with it every time they update it in beta. And even just this, half the time it's just one or two. Or one position, two positions here. You can set them anywhere you like. That much down. That much down. That much down. Anywhere you want it to be. It just adds to things, I really think. Well, enough of me nattering on. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!